Hi, this is Lorene, and I'm doing another video. If you'll give me a second to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. Okay, so there is a lot of information again this week, so I'm just going to start sharing. April 14th, 2024. These are the messages that came in that day. Clarifying information came in on the Anshar. According to what I recall Corey Good saying in Cosmic Disclosure, the Anshar came back in time, I believe, to ensure their existence and secure their timeline. Whenever there is a possible shift in the timeline, they go into some type of capsule or cube which protects them from changes in the timeline, their possible reality. So what he described, what Corey Good described regarding the Anshar, they are future humans that came back in time to ensure that their timeline exists, okay, continues to exist. And so whenever something happens that potentially could shift the timeline, they go into these buildings, capsules, cubes, I think he described them as, and it protects them from any shifts in the timeline. And what I received intuitively when I first started talking about this or them, after hearing about them, I think it was 2020, I might have brought them up for the first time, was that they're actually the secondary cabal. And so from my perspective, information that's come into me, there is a primary and a secondary cabal. And generally speaking, from what comes into me intuitively, the primary cabal would be those people at the top of the pyramid. They're running the show, they're running the secret space program, and they are a business conglomerate. And I can't remember the term that was used back then, but they are a conglomerate of corporations, and they are essentially in control. The secondary cabal would be, from what came into me intuitively, is like their, I would say, minions. So they're the leaders they have put in place to control and keep humanity in its place. Okay? I interpret this as they have come back to affect our existence, to assure their existence, just the same as the Zeta Reticuli or the Greys. So the second that they said, when I was listening or watching the show, this was Cosmic Disclosure, where Corey Good was talking about the Anshar. As soon as he said they have come back in time to assure their existence, the message that came in very clear is they are affecting our timeline to assure that they exist in the future. That is a manipulation. They aren't even meant to exist. From this perspective right here, our now moment, they are a future possible reality, just as the Greys are a future possible reality. They do not exist from our perspective, where we are right here in this now moment. We are manifesting or creating our reality in every moment. So from where we sit, they are merely a future possible reality. Those realities, the Anshar and the Zeta Reticuli, have not coalesced. They are merely possibilities in existing within the divine consciousness. There are many other possible realities, okay, but I am just speaking about these two specifically right now. As a review, the Seta Reticuli and Anshar are merely possible realities existing within the divine consciousness. These realities will not coalesce. This is the will of the divine consciousness. It will exist in the mind of the divine, just like we have experiences that we consider but never coalesce. So the example that came to mind as I was writing this was when I was working on my undergraduate. I first studied accounting, I also studied psychology, and these were all things I considered but that never coalesced because my degree is in comparative literature. Okay, my undergraduate degree. Those projected thoughts or ideas still exist in my mind, but they never came to fruition. So those thoughts still exist in my consciousness, in my mind, in my ideas, thoughts, but they never coalesced. Okay, so they will always exist because I considered them, but they are not going to coalesce. And we're off to another subject. To get people to deny God, divinity, a higher power is a means to blind them to prophecy, blind them to what is happening in front of their eyes. For those unwilling to resolve the idea of religion, God, dogma, the intent of this unbalanced cabal energy is to have those individuals so steeped in the dogma of that religion that they can see nothing else. That dogma is meant to direct every part of their lives, whether it stokes devotion through fanaticism or fear and submission. And so I want to be clear, I'm not trying to say religion is a bad thing, faith and devotion is a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. I am very steeped in my faith. I am very devoted to my spirituality. I am very committed to my path and purpose. It drives every day of my life. It drives every interaction I have. But I am not committed to dogma, and that's what I'm trying to share. That's what this message is trying to share. Is when we are stuck on, I have to go to church on Sundays, I have to go to confession, I have to go get a palm on Palm Sunday, I got to get my ashes on Ash Wednesday. All these rules and steps and things that I'm being told I have to do to be a person of faith, to be a good person of faith, to be a good believer in God, is derailing me from what it truly means to live a life of goodness, kindness, faith, trust in something greater than myself. And when I open myself up to that, I realize what's being asked of me is not to go to church every Sunday, not to go to church and get my palm on Palm Sunday, not to get ashes on my forehead on Ash Wednesday, not to go to confession. Because if I live a good life, if I'm kind, compassionate, sincere, forgiving, if I show empathy, if I show tolerance to the world around me and to myself, there's no need for confession. Every minute, every day of my life, every breath I take, every interaction that I have is my devotion to the divine, my commitment to being a shining light on this world in this lifetime, to be a physical manifestation and the representation of the divine consciousness here on this plane of existence. That is faith, spirituality, and devotion from my perspective. I live it in every moment, in every breath that I take, not in an act of sitting in a pew and listening to a a priest preach to me, or getting a palm on Sunday, or having ashes put on my forehead, or going to confession, because every moment is lived as a physical manifestation of the best person I can be, the best existence I can live. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's relatable. No, the divine does not subjugate. This is a choice we all make. We make the choice to live in these conditions individually and collectively. These moments we are being provided the opportunity to ride the energetic waves of unconditional love, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, empathy, tolerance, to freedom, joy, happiness, peace, and unity. So then another message that came in, we are imbued with an energy that is coded into our consciousness, energy field, DNA, which directs us on our path and purpose. The ego can derail us from this direction. The ego has derailed us from this path. This derailment shifts our DNA, energy field, consciousness. The code is then changed. This change occurs when karma is added to our physical and energetic makeup. When we ask ourselves why something is happening in our lives, it is directly connected to our karmic signature, which each of us created. We create and shift our karmic signature in every moment with every word, thought, action, and intention. As a result of carrying the depth and breadth of emotion, humans on Earth, we also carry the greatest variation in karmic signatures. This is why our reward is so great. So by carrying the depth and breadth of emotion, we carry, which is unique in the universe, we carry the depth and breadth of karmic signature. We go from the most darkest to the most lightest place, from the most evil to the most loving place. Okay? And that's not just extremes, it's depth. So there are many variations of these things, okay? But we carry the depth of joy and sadness. We carry the depth of black to white. We carry the depth of affirmation and negation. Okay? We carry the depth of all of those ideas, concepts, constructs on this world. And because of that, our karmic signature is equally diverse. It's equally extreme. For those transcending, the reward of balancing and centering such a potentially massive deviation from the original centered, balanced path and purpose imbued in your consciousness is nothing short of miraculous. There is no better word on this world to describe it. And so to go from such extremes, to be born in balance with the path and purpose that we are meant to experience, and then to have experiences that create a karmic signature, and the depth of that karmic signature being so vast, for us to go to those extremes in karmic signature and then be able to bring ourselves back to center is nothing less than miraculous. And I really couldn't even, that word doesn't even begin to describe it. There is no word, because the energy that was coming into my body when that message was coming in was so deep. It was so intense. It was so descriptive in a way that there are no words that I can find to describe it. There are no words to express it. You have to feel it, because that feeling that comes in was sharing not only the most miraculous feeling, it was sharing awe, it was sharing love, it was sharing gratitude, it was sharing pride. That was this source energy coming in to say how blessed and beautiful and amazing we are because of what we've been able to go through and find our way out of. We are amazing, amazing, amazing beings in the universe. We are exceptional. And I don't mean to diminish any other beings in the universe, but our experience is unique. And so it's not comparable to any other experience in the universe. We are exceptional. It is time for humans on this world to know and accept how amazing they are, even as wounded, scarred, bruised, blood-soaked as we might feel. We are stunning and exceptional. We will be exalted for what we have gone through and overcome. 4:15, April 15th. It is our experiences that move us out of center that create karma. Some become angry, bitter, resentful, fearful, arrogant, and hold on to this energy, dwell in this energy. It can create a strong, aggressive personality or fearful, submissive personality. When one holds on to this energy, we might say they dwell in the darkness or embrace their shadow side. Others with similar experiences or different experiences with similar consequences find their way back to center. Once again, this experience here on earth is an arduous task, but one we have embraced. For our diligence, commitment, steadfastness, we will be rewarded. The covenant will be fulfilled. And just to review or explain, when we are born of this universe with no karmic debt, but just a path and purpose encoded in our DNA or our energy field or our consciousness, as we experience karma, the unbalanced part of karma, the unbalanced energy on the worlds that we are incarnated on or have incarnated on, some individuals, some fractals, some consciousnesses have difficulty letting go of the energy attached to those experiences. And so they get stuck in that negative energy and they begin to dwell in it. And they can become either incredibly aggressive or incredibly submissive. And we see both on this world. But part of our journey is to find our way back to center. Okay? And we will all find our way back to center eventually. (4:16), April 16th. We are very adept at working with Earth's energy. Most have spent many lifetimes on Earth. Many of us here on Earth have spent many lifetimes here. We've lived on, in, through Atlantis, Lemuria, and many other ages and eras here on this world. We know how to tap into the vibrations on this world and use them to the advantage of Mother Earth. We root the energy of divine consciousness across and within the planet. We have been doing this for ages, eras, aeons. We have always been here. All is as it is meant to be. Earth, air, water, fire, ether. North, south, east, west. The fifth cardinal direction. Okay, so we have the four elements: air, earth, air, water, fire, and then ether was added And what the message that came in was Aether integrates and alchemizes the 4 elements. Aether integrates and alchemizes earth, air, water, and fire. And so it was not, and what came into me was, it's not an element. Not in the sense that we think of earth, air, water, and fire. And then I received a message about the Cardinal's 5th cardinal sign. When we look within, when we connect to the higher self, to source, there is no up, down, left, right, front, or back. All things lie within and are projected out. The 5th cardinal direction is not a direction. It is an understanding. When we think direction, we think movement into that direction or a direction. The 5th cardinal direction is an understanding that all direction leads us back to the heart. They lead us back within. They lead us back to awareness of our true existence, our divine consciousness. Maybe it's better to say the 5th cardinal law of direction. No matter what direction you choose to move in, you always return to where you began. This idea of movement is a perception of the consciousness. We cannot move away from something when we are the embodiment of that thing. When we daydream about a trip or an experience, we see ourselves outside of ourself. When I'm sitting on my couch daydreaming of a vacation to Hawaii, I see myself in Hawaii, but I am truthfully sitting on my couch. This is what I'm trying to explain about the 5th cardinal law of direction. It's not a direction, it's an idea, a consideration, a thought that leads us to believe we are moving in a specific direction, literally, but in reality, we are in this space always, because this space is pure consciousness. We are pure consciousness. We draw everything to us through our consciousness, positive and negative, balanced and unbalanced. Once this truth is received and accepted, it will shift our reality profoundly. And so I have this metaphor that was given to me about using a palette in painting, and so I'm just going to continue reading. Aether isn't an element, it's what molds, alchemizes the elements. So I already said that, but I'm just going to read what's here. Equally, the consciousness is not tangible. It is a knowing that expresses itself through awareness. Consciousness isn't paint. It's the brush that applies the paint and creates a work of art. Does that make sense? It's what the message that came in was, trying to create something that's intangible and show through something tangible what it truly is. So the paint doesn't create the painting. The brush doesn't create the painting. The consciousness that imagines or thinks of whatever it wants to paint uses the paintbrush and the palette of paint as a tool to manifest this beautiful piece of art. Okay? I hope that's clear. I hope that made sense. Because when I was writing it down, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I got a little confused and I had to stop and breathe because I was trying to think about it. I was trying to rationalize it, what was being said, and the whole thing I just read, not just the part about the painting. And I just had to let it flow. And I feel like reading it this time, I really grasped it, but I hope you did too. So the next topic, allow the flow of energy to educate you. Do not resist or criticize. The resistance and criticism is a conditioned response. This will be our natural state, education through inspiration. This idea will assure that we are where we are meant to be when we are meant to be there. This will put us on our path. And so when I receive messages, it took me a while to be comfortable with how I translated the messages and make sure maintaining clear, centered, and balanced energy, and making sure that I was receiving those messages with the utmost clarity, so that once I started working with the message and what was being shared with me, that I was translating, understanding, and responding to that information that was coming into me appropriately. And so at this point, I allow myself to fully be informed and guided through that information that comes in intuitively. But when I was growing up, like most of us, we were trained to look for information outside of ourselves, from school, from our parents, from our friends, from our co-workers, from our coaches, all these different sources, law enforcement, government, politicians. We're always looking for someone to tell us what we're supposed to do or what the boundaries are that we're supposed to live within. But that has created the circumstance that we're in right now. When we tap into our intuition and connect to the divine consciousness and receive information from that place and allow it to guide us and not resist it, we allow ourselves to live within the flow of energy. And when we live within the flow of energy and we don't resist it, that creates the most fluent and fluid lives and experiences that we can have. It prevents friction, it prevents discord, and that's what we're being asked to do. But this whole previous level of consciousness that we just went through was to help bring us to this place of remembering, connecting, and allowing that source to guide us. We had to go through, in order for divinity, the divine consciousness, to see itself from a different perspective, it had to separate itself from itself. It had to forget that it was divine. And it created this universe and this level of consciousness, this 3D level of consciousness, to allow itself to experience a different experience from unawareness, from an unawareness of its true divine self, its source self. And so our journey at this level of consciousness was to reconnect and find our way back to our true divine selves. Okay? And so now that we are doing that here during this transition, we are on a path where we are allowing this divine consciousness to come in and guide us from a place of unconditional love, kindness, compassion, tolerance, forgiveness. And we work with the flow of energy. We do not resist the flow of energy. And we allow that energy to inform and educate us and guide us. And that is the root of, that's why trust is so important. That's one of the reasons why trust is so important. If we don't trust this energy, we don't trust the messages that we're receiving, if we don't trust the guidance, then we are acting from fear. And that is rooted in ego, and that is rooted in a construct of this 3D level consciousness, this lower vibration. April 17th. So I had a vision. The Mississippi River meets in the middle and zigzags and forms a lake. And so I was just sitting, and all of a sudden I had this vision, and I saw the Mississippi River flowing, and then all of a sudden it shifts and it starts flowing north and south and north, and then it meets in the middle, and there is a zigzag that's created, and it creates a lake. But let me just finish reading this. Rivers meeting in the middle, shifting poles, magnetic fields, some type of okay, and so I have a drawing here, right here, and I'll do a picture-in-picture. And when I saw that zigzag, the message came in that there's something like shifting plates that happens that creates this zigzag. And being from California and growing up with earthquakes, there's a lot of different types of earthquakes that can happen, the way the plates move. And this was shown to me was a shift, was a definitive shift. And that shift creates, works towards changing the directions of the rivers. The river itself creates two rivers that meet in the middle and then create not a lake, but it's a sea. It will be a sea. And then there was information that came in about the poles, like the magnetic fields, the shifting of the magnetic fields and the flipping of the magnetic fields. And so this is the other drawing I did right here, where these two, the rivers come together, and in this space create this sea right here. And so I went and looked at a map of the Mississippi River, and what I felt was it would be in Missouri and Illinois is where this bend is, and where this sea would be created. So the messages that come in: changing the Midwest, upgrading the geography of North America, creating islands and peninsulas. And then I have Colorado will be reduced from beneath. I see lava and melted rock. Lava is melted rock, but so I see lava, but then rock melting, and that's what I'm trying to say. I know. Okay. I'm going to keep going. There is a continuation of this vision that came in this morning, but I like to read my journal in order. 4:18. There are no timelines. Our thoughts, actions, words, and intentions create our karma, which directs our path. We do not shift timelines like changing lanes in a car. From a universal perspective, the source of creation determines which future possible realities coalesce. Our experience is determined once again by our thoughts, actions, words, and intentions, which establish our karmic signature. Those experiences reside within the coalesced reality. We are in a unique place of divergence. There are two realities that will coalesce to accommodate those transcending and those continuing at the present level of consciousness. To clarify, manifesting your reality is not shifting timelines. I feel like humanity has been led down a path that explains or tries to rationalize manifesting or creation as this idea of timeline shifts. This is an inaccurate explanation, description, depiction. At present, the divine consciousness is creating a split, divergence, to accommodate what is occurring on Mother Earth. Not all will transcend on Mother Earth. Those who do not transcend cannot stay on this world. There must be a place where they can continue their journey. Our thoughts, actions, words, intentions manifest or create our worlds. We journey to our appropriate place through our connection of the divine consciousness. Death is a process of transition, but there is another way. The Bible calls it rapture. But those who leave this world or disappear without explanation will be transitioned to the Cepheus constellations. And so I know I've said this in past videos, and I know that rapture is supposed to be where really spiritual people are supposed to go to heaven. And people from Christian backgrounds, I was raised Catholic, believe this. But a message that came in about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I'm not sure, it's been a while, was that, so the Bible is a beautiful book, and I don't want to diminish it in any way, but it's been translated, I think, over 500 times, and I feel like that the hand of man, what I received intuitively is the hand of man has influenced and changed some of the information that's in there. And so it has said that all these heavenly beings are going to be taken, all these really beautiful, high vibratory people are going to be taken straight to heaven. But in truth, these people who disappear and are removed are probably the energy's most out of balance, and they've used artificial, and so that message came in 2 to 3 years ago. But what came in when I was writing this is those individuals are some of the individuals living most out of balance, and we can't wait for them to end their lives. The divine is not going to wait for them to end their life by a natural death to take them to Cepheus, because they're trying to prolong their life by artificial means. And there's all these different things that came into me as far as technologies that we don't know about that they're utilizing. And so the divine has made that decision to remove them from this world and to move them to Cepheus. And it's very important to say that. It's only come in a couple times, and I know this could be triggering for some people, but it's very important to say it because it came in very strong when I was writing this. There are individuals, including the primary and secondary cabal energies, who attempt to circumvent death in order to avoid adjusting their karmic signature. This violates universal law. The will of the divine will be done. April 19th. Science is a perfect 3D example of spiritual awakening. And so I read Michio Kaku's Hyperspace, and he talks about a lot of stuff that I understood it when I was reading it, but I'm not a science-minded person, so I'm not even going to begin to explain to you what I read or what I learned from that reading. But he talked about Raymond's, I think it's pronounced Raymond's metric tensor, Einstein's theory of relativity. He's the co-creator of string theory, or the co-founder, because I think anyway, I'm not going to get into it. And then Stephen Hawking has M theory. And so there are all these theories put out in science trying to explain the universe, right? Especially when it comes to quantum theory, quantum mechanics, quantum anything, right? We know there's this quantum world that is profound and meaningful of our existence, but we don't completely understand it. But we have little theories and little pieces that we know about, that these scientists are trying to connect. And I remember watching a video with Michio Kaku in it where he talked about the theory of everything, right? And this theory would bring all these ideas together and explain, I'm just going to say it could explain a part of the universe that we don't understand. And he mentioned that we have all these really long formulas that we've created to try to explain these ideas or these hypotheses or these theories that we have, right? But once we find that thing, it's just going to be one short little formula that will explain everything. And that is the theory of everything, right? And I just wanted, that information came in April 19th, I guess that was yesterday. And I'm like, this is a perfect example of spiritual awakening. I get all these little visions over the course of years. And eventually I'll read through my journals, or I'll be sitting and something will click and it brings everything together for the bigger message. And so eventually there's going to be a scientist that something's going to click, and he's going to be able to he or she will be able to bring together all these ideas into one unifying theory. Okay? And I got really excited when that came to me, because I believe that science and spirituality are not mutually exclusive. They are inherently connected in a most beautiful way, in a profound and beautiful way. Let's see. Okay. Each of these theories is like a vision or a message I am receiving. I know eventually something will come in to guide me in connecting all the messages, visions, information, provide the connection that reveals the bigger picture. Similarly, these scientists work diligently, looking for the inspiration, the thought, the message that provides the clue that leads to the connection that explains everything they were trying to reconcile smoothly and fluently. Once we raise our vibration, we will be able to fill in the gaps, but not before. Nikola Tesla was a test. He was provided high-level, high-vibratory information. Humanity could not handle it. Humanity. I have that in quotes. It would be better to say some humans could not handle it. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was another test of a different kind of truth. He was assassinated. Some could not handle that truth, and the Black community continued to be restrained ever since. The science community has equally, in another way, been restrained. This comes to an end. Okay, so this was such an exciting synchronicity. I'm just going to share it with you. So I said, like I just said, this comes to an end. This restraint, this oppression, this constraints that have been put on not only this world, the humans and the beings on this world, but on Mother Earth herself. So I had an appointment yesterday morning, and I went for a walk, and I take the bus, so I walk everywhere. And I was walking up the street, and I go to cross the street, and this homeless gentleman says, "It's a new day." And he's like really high, happy, positive, right? And I greeted him, and I said hello, and smiled like I always do. And I just was like, wow, he just kind of made me feel really good inside. And then I literally crossed the street, and there's another gentleman. I wouldn't say he was homeless, but he was definitely struggling. And he said to me, "It's a great day, a terrific day." And he was like smiling, and so I said, "Yes it is, hello." I greeted him and I smiled, and I kept on walking. And then later in the day, I was listening to a song, "A New Day Has Come" is the title. And I was like, oh my God, that's 3 times in one day that I heard "It's a new day has come, it's a great day, it's a terrific day." Right after I wrote in my journal, "This comes to an end," because literally at my appointment, I was writing in my journal, waiting to be taken in. And so I just felt really good. I felt really good. There are no coincidences, only synchronicities. Life as a Cesar, knowing the consequences of my generational line. And so this is a past life that I've shared in the past, but it came in again. So life as a Cesar, knowing the consequences of my generational line, or my generational karma that was created because of that lifetime. I tried to overthrow, to create peace and safety for all, but especially my people, through my idea of what peace and safety was. If anyone opposed me, they were put down or oppressed. So I saw, when this vision came in the first time, or this past life came in the first time, I saw the movie Gladiator, and the opening scene of that Caesar coming through and like conquering all these other countries or these other people. And so I was shared and told that that was something I did in a past life. And even though my intention was to create peace for my people, and as well to create stability and therefore peace for these other cultures that I maybe, or my people would consider barbaric, it still was me imposing my idea of how they should live their life, no matter how good my intention was. Although in my mind my intentions were honorable, I imposed my ideas on others. We are all meant to find our own ideas, ideals, and live from that place. We do this through our connection with the divine. We all receive information from outside ourselves. We are asked to look within, sit with that information and discern. And that goes back to that fifth cardinal direction, right? We sit within and we seek and find the answers we need through our connection or our understanding or our acknowledgement of our divine self. And so this is another topic, recalling hearing about the 3 leads that run or rule over the Seta Reticuli community. And so I think it was Tim from he's been on Cosmic Disclosure with Emery Smith, and he talks about the Seta Reticuli a lot. And I remember him saying something about there are 3 potential, like 3 leads that are kind of overseeing 3 potential timelines, most successful timelines, if I remember correctly. So this Seta Reticuli exists from this place of having 3 leadership positions who are securing or trying to manifest 3 potential timelines for their people. But those are possible realities. They're not timelines. You can't force them to come to fruition. The divine consciousness is the determining factor of what possible realities coalesce. The idea of leadership is a construct and an illusion. We all find our direction from within and connect to one another from the heart, from unconditional love. This is the way of the world. And this is the way of this world. We are on this path of looking within, acknowledging our divine selves through our connection to the higher self and to the divine consciousness. And once we make that connection, we will then be able to reconcile and accept that we are truly divine. We have been led to a place where we are so living outside of ourselves and we see God as something outside of ourselves that we can't even comprehend that we are divine, that we are that thing, that we are worshiping, that thing is us, that it resides within us. It's not even within us, it is us. And so as we move forward and as we transcend, this is our path. This is what we will becoming. This is what we will come to start to accept about ourselves. And the more we accept it and the more we unify through our hearts, the more powerful our ability to create will become. But this idea of 3 leads and 3 timelines within the Seta Reticuli community or people is a construct. It's a construct. And again, there are no timelines. There are only possible realities. April 20th. Continuation of the vision from 417. So this is a continuation from this vision right here that I shared with you earlier. Plate shifts, magnetic pole shift, Mississippi River runs north to south, rises in Lake Itasca in Minnesota, and ends in the Gulf of Mexico. Rises from where? So where does it rise from? Because I was reading about where the Mississippi started and where it ends, and it said it rises from Lake Itasca. So it rises from the aquifers in the inner earth. Snowmelt, precipitation are not our main source of water. So the aquifers in in the inner earth are our main source of water. Water does not come from outside of Mother Earth. It comes from within Mother Earth. In my vision, the Mississippi River met in the middle, creating a sea in the middle of North America. The first message that comes in, the magnetic poles shifting, are an indication of a bigger shift. The energy is drawn to the center of the earth, towards a specific longitudinal and latitudinal point. This energy will hover at the center. What we know as magnetic north and south poles will no longer exist. I have heard in passing on 2 separate social media platforms that space travel is not possible with our current technology because of Earth's magnetic field. This is not a point I wish to debate. I only bring it up because it was a part of the message that came in. With this shift in the poles and the hovering of this energy at the center of Mother Earth, there will be no field potentially restricting our ability to travel off planet. This shift, this change indicates our introduction to the universe, to the galactic community. This will not occur until divergence is complete. Mother Earth has returned to balance, and the beings of this world are living from unconditional love. If we are able to freely leave this world, that means that beings of other worlds will be freely welcomed to Earth. We cannot live from fear, anger, or resentment. We must be fully embracing our true divine selves and living from unconditional love. The shift on this world is profound. Mother Earth will not be the same. The movement of water in the Mississippi River represents cycles. The break in the river represents a break in the cycle. The sea, so the break is where that zigzag happens and where the plate shifts. The sea formulating in the middle of North America represents something unfathomable. Unfathomable? You know what I mean. The changes this world will experience will seem unfathomable, yet will be our reality. This is the will of the divine. The energy is equalizing. We're shifting out of duality, moving towards unity. North, south, east, west, left, right, top, bottom. These are paradigms we are releasing. Mother Earth will embody balance. I see the rings of energy wafting off of Mother Earth. Everything emanates from the heart center. And so I'm just going to show you this picture that I drew right here, right? So this idea of north, south, these directions, left, right, front, back, when we're living from the center, there is no up and down, no left or right. So if we have a north pole and a south pole, that's still living in duality, right? The opposite of north is south. And so this energy emanating from the heart of Mother Earth is just gonna, I just see it as, I'm gonna do the picture in picture, as rings. It showed itself as rings coming off of Earth like Saturn, but it wasn't rings. It was literally waves of energy coming off of Mother Earth, sitting in the center. And if there's no magnetic field like we have known in the past, there'll be no force of energy around us to prevent us from leaving the planet. Because from what I understood, from what these people said, is if we were going to leave the planet, we couldn't punch through the magnetic field. We'd have to go up to the north where that field is opening up and leave that way. So I don't want to debate that because I know nothing about whatever they were talking about. I just thought it was interesting and I took note of it and I moved on. But when I was having this vision, it was very clear that what this shift represented was opening up Mother Earth to the galactic community, opening up our world to the universe, opening up this world to beings from other planets. And we would freely be able to leave the planet, and they would freely be able to come to the planet. And up to this point, there have been things, science, whatever, put in place to prevent that from happening. And that's why that message about those 2 videos that I watched, where they said we couldn't leave the planet freely because of the magnetic field, was very important. Because if, whether it's metaphoric or literal, there was something restricting us, blinding us, blocking us from joining the galactic community, and that thing is going to be removed. It's being removed. And again, what I was shown was the Earth without a north and a south pole, without those magnetic fields, with this energy just emanating from the center of the planet. And then I said, well, what about the rivers coming together, the Mississippi running south and north and meeting in the middle in that sea? Is that literal? Is that a metaphor? Because I did read to you, the movement of the water in the Mississippi represents the cycles. The break in the river represents the break in the cycle, right? That could be a metaphor. And what came in very clear was that is literal. That is a metaphor and a literal manifestation. So when you start to see these things happening, when we start to see these things happening, we know what it means. Okay, it's a message. It's something to help us. It's like benchmarks. It's benchmarks showing us steps that we will be taking to get to a certain place. Okay? As I have this vision, I see the energy emanating from Mother Earth. I see energies living from an unbalanced state, screaming no and resisting with everything they've got. Then I feel a powerful energy welling up inside of me. Love begets love. Violence begets violence. Everything they put out, they will receive in kind. This is the way of the universe. Whatever you put out, the universe will reflect back to you. You will find this in Cepheus. And so this energy, this negative energy, this no, this resistance, this friction that you keep putting out, that this unbalanced energy keeps putting out, they will find that in Cepheus. That world is being provided for them. They are manifesting that world through their words, actions, and intentions, and all they're telling the universal source, the God, divinity, is that that's what they want to continue to live in. And so this world is being provided for them as a place to live from that place until they are ready to open their hearts and transition and live from a place of balance. And so the other message was, it's going to be, they're not going to move from where we are here and live like we are in that other world. They're going to begin the cycle. So they're going to go all the way back to, like, let's say prehistoric times. What I have here is barbaric world. They will go back to the beginning of this cycle. So they will have to find fire. They will have to learn how to use tools, all those things. And they will start this cycle from the very beginning. Also, I just wanted to reiterate, when I said, that vision came in and they were like, no, they were resisting, like, no, this is not going to happen. They don't want this world to move into balance. They don't want this world to open up, because they covet all the resources. There are no words to share with you how powerful this world is. Our food is healing. Even as unbalanced as we are right now, to people living off-world, our food is incredibly healing. Our water is incredibly healing. Our soil they can take our soil and put it somewhere else and it will heal their land. As desolate as this world is right now, we are powerful healing energies, and they are capitalizing on that. But this was never their world. It was never their world to do that. It was never their world to rape. It was never their world to abuse. Okay, we're here to be stewards of this world. And so as they were resisting, they're like, no, and so they are resisting the flow of energy. And as that information came in, I felt very deeply in my body, like so deep. I can't even, there are no words. Like when I was talking about how miraculous we are, the total opposite came in. This of power, of force, of energy that was like, no, no. You do not choose. You are not making the decisions. It was just powerful. It's like this world is moving into balance and there is nothing that will stop it. I could just feel this energy flowing. And then it was like you will be provided a world where you can continue to live from this place, but it will not be this world. And it was just, I don't have words for it, because it was very much like my kids when they upset me and they step out of line, and I have to put them back in line. They can't continue to behave this way because it's not healthy for them. It's not healthy for the people they're interacting with. It's not a healthy, positive way to live. And as a parent, I have to set boundaries and let them know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable in my house, in my home. I have very clear expectations of how my children are to behave and how my children are to treat others with respect and kindness. And if there is an issue, you need to walk away or call me to help you, because as a parent, I'm still there to help and facilitate my children, right? But it's very clear. And my children as teenagers know what my expectation is. And that's what this energy was. It was like setting a clear expectation. This is my expectation. You are not meeting the expectations. You will not remain here, and you will be moved. You will be moved to this other world. And it's done with all the love. I love my children dearly. The source of all creation loves us all dearly. But it has to set a very clear boundary of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And on this world right now, this unbalanced behavior is unacceptable, and it is going to be removed. And those of us who have done the work, who have endured and have moved into center, that lived in balance, we will be rewarded. The covenant will be fulfilled. And that was so clear. This boundary is set. This unbalanced energy cannot continue this behavior on this world. And just to review, just to remind you, the source of all creation is both light and dark, positive and negative, love and hate, balanced and unbalanced. So this is part of itself that it is removing from this place. Okay? Almost like when I know I'm going to blow or I'm upset and I need to rein myself in, I need to shut myself down, I just walk away and I go someplace else, because it's not fair for me to project whatever frustration I'm feeling onto others, because I know I'm being triggered. I'm being triggered from childhood traumas. I know it. I'm self-aware enough that I know that that's what's happening. So I have to take myself down a notch and I need to walk away. And that's what the divine is doing. It's taking itself down a notch and it's moving itself someplace else, so the most loving parts of itself can remain here on this world. Okay? Give me a second. And so all I see is myself standing, the sun rising, and actually there's a lion beside me. And I can only see my back. There's a lion standing right beside me, and the sun is rising, and I hear that song, A New Day Has Come. It's actually a Celine Dion song. And so a new day is coming. All right, I think that's it. Thank you.